back to ZeN TV. Still with me on the couch, we've got Cal, G-Man, Damon, and Chevalier.
Which one's Chevalier?
This one.
Okay.
Now we've heard about heart transplant. Now we've heard about heart transplant, lung, kidney transplants. But how about head? Cal, this is your story.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a joke when I heard this. I read it on Flipboard, and apparently there's a Dr. Sergio Canavero from Turin in Italy, and by 2017 he wants to perform the first head transplant. And I thought, head transplant? That surely isn't possible, because you have to sever the spinal cord in order to do that. A person from Russia's volunteered to be his guinea pig, and it's this chap, Dr. Sergio Canavaro, is a specialist in this area. He deals with spinal injuries and what they call neuromodulation. He's written over 100 papers and books about this, and is the most recognised person in the world for it. But apparently it's going to take up to 150 doctors to perform this, and nurses for the whole thing to be carried out, at a cost of £11 million. And he's also done a TEDx talk about this. But I just wanted to bring this to the panel to say, what do you think about this? A head transplant?
I think of the film, do you remember Face Off?
Oh yes.
Well, that's face. That's only the face.
Yeah.
The head is something totally different.
Yeah.
Are we talking someone else's brain?
Yeah, that's what,
it's got to be in it. They're not going to remove the brain, do you think, before they do that?
Thinking ethically as well. Imagine you lose a loved one. Next minute you see him walking down the road, you go talk to him. It's not them. It's just the head.
That's right.
What? You know, like? Yeah, you know, just rolling. Just rolling. Rolling down the road. Imagine though, you saw you lost, and then also you see somebody walking around with their
Yeah.
This one, I'm going to get my head around this one.
The trouble you've got is
I'll get you a new one.
It's a terrible joke.
I wasn't even meant to be done with it.
The problem you've got with it as well is, just from a moral and ethical standpoint, I mean, God made us this way, didn't he? And however he makes us, we've got to try to sort of work the best we possibly can, and we work out what our lives ourselves and try to work it all out. And if we start messing with us, like with stem cell research and stuff, once we start playing God and working in that kind of form, I just think it just feels so sort of fundamentally wrong.
Do you think it's wrong though for heart transplants and lung transplants?
The kidneys.
Really draw the line, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think
Because I think Jehovah's Witnesses don't.
I think it's blood transfusions.
It's blood transfusions.
It's blood transfusions, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not saying people who are dying and people, for example, have donated their sort of organs and stuff to people. And as technology is advanced and people can benefit from when someone dies, I understand that. And that somehow feels somehow better and so more morally right by some form of code of ethics that seems more acceptable. But the head, I mean, just like, you know, who decides whose head you have? Who decides?
So the catalogue.
I mean,
Can you get two? Can you get two?
Maybe this is a bit of a simple question.
I mean, whereas the garbage started off, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
And why would you need? Who would need a head transplant, and why would you need a head?
Well, apparently this chap
transplant?
that's volunteered, this Russian chap that's volunteered, has got a rare muscle disorder that affects his head.
Head, not face.
No, this some area in his head. The story was limited what I read of, but it wasn't as in depth as what I'd like it to be. But apparently that's why he's volunteered, because he wants to. It be in his body. That's why he wants to have the head transplant.
I mean, I understand. I mean, Where's the Gummidge went into his shed, took a different head off, and put a different one on. I get that. You know, I'm going out tonight. Want to pull a few girls. Fancy a different looking head. I fancy, you know, I don't know.
But Where's the Gorge was a scarecrow, not a human being.
Yeah, it's a good point. Didn't think of it that way. But, you know, I think that to work parallel with the story worked well.
But let's move on. Gee,
Short point.
oh, you got a point?
I'll say this, right? I think that
Have a cup of tea.
that's it. You know, the problem you've got in this world that we live in, everybody wants to live forever, regardless of quality of life. And I'll take my example. We were talking about, you know, people have done heart transplants, etc. Now I know my heart's not good. It's not the strongest part of my body. It's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Now, one day it's going to pop. Now I can go to this doctor now, and I'm sure they could do this triple heart bypass or whatever it may be, but I'd refuse it. because it's not about some of the technology that they use today. Where do they get it from? And some of it, right? You know, I'm not Jehovah's Witness, but I do understand this thing with the blood. I think to myself, right, that we just use everybody's blood. Blood is sacred, and it shouldn't be about prolonging life at all costs. You have to have some kind of ethical standpoint.
It's funny you said that, you know. I've always had this with my family, people close to me. I've always said, you know, if I ever was in that position too, or God forbid contracted something that required more in-depth, you know, chemical-induced treatment, I wouldn't take it.
No,
Because if my time is coming, my time is coming, and God is in control of everything, then I have to feel.
And Damon's right. You see, again, it's about your viewpoint, right, and your belief system. I believe that you've got the soul, and the soul dies. Yeah. Now, it may live for 70 years, it may live for 100 years, it may live for 120 years, it may live a day, but it dies. But then the spirit inside the person lives forever.
Yeah, quite.
Now, determining what your soul has done determines where the spirit lives, but it will live forever, regardless of what you do. But what you do determines where it lives. Does it make sense? Yeah. So I'm not really that bothered about how long I physically live. Bruce Lee said the key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. Died at 32. And Frank, 20, 21.
Yeah.
Do you see? So it's not the length of time, it's what you do with the time you have. Yeah. And so I have no desire to live, get somebody else's heart. I don't want that. That's theirs, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Somebody else's lungs, that's theirs,
Yeah,
no problem.
It's perhaps the loved ones who would want you to do that.
Well, it's my body.
Are you prepared to give your heart and when you die?
Well, you see,
as a donor?
I'm not for the giving, because I know this society will turn around and say,
kill him.
Yes, before I'm even dead, you know. So I wouldn't even give myself up for this transplant system, right? Because I think to myself, what I want people to be more concerned about is how they live their life. Prolonging a bad life is not necessarily a good thing. You look at George Best, they gave him a new liver. Was it liver?
He did well with that.
Yes.
Just pick up that one too.
It's the quality of life we should all aim to have. So it's not a simple case of prolonging a bad life or even a good life, but having a quality of life.
But what about if you are doing good things, changing society, and then come on, I mean, we know somebody locally in Derby, Colin Bloomfield, who died recently.
Yes.
You know, what about if you are living such a great life like that, and then your heart is failing?
Yes.
Would you say that person deserves a heart, or should have the heart, or should naturally take the course of death?
You see, here's the thing, you see. Death isn't...
final.
Exactly. It's only a momentary situation. The escape velocity to get from Earth to space is required to get out of the atmosphere.
Yes.
So death is the escape velocity to get to the next place. You can't get to the next place without dying. Now, when you die, you live forever. So, for example, we talk about Colin. Colin was a wonderful person. He lived an incredible life. And his life isn't diminished based on the length of time or how long or short it is. Yeah. It's based on the quality. It's based on what we say about it.
Yeah.
What was the better to a shining light? It's a candle, isn't it? You want to burn brightly. The shortest amount of time you've got. Sure. That's what it's about.
So if you can imagine, right? This is another philosophy. We've moved from the subject matter, but it's the same subject matter. If you live your life to such a level that when you die, you are deemed to come back again, you'll come back in a glorified body, living forever. Now you won't have to worry about transplants and stuff like that. I don't get to the best surgeons. Based on the Adam and Eve experience, the sin thing, the sin goes through the body, which means you are ultimately going to have to die. So no matter what they fix, there's always going to be a problem. Look at the greatest technology you can have for cars is Formula One. But when you fix those 10 years, once they fix one problem, 100 will come up because you're dealing with a sin thing. So, if someone said to me, he's a good man, he should be, he should live longer with somebody's new heart. I said, no, my time is my time. And once it's over, you bury me, you dance on top of the grave, we all have a good sing song, you teeth up my claws, drink some of my drink, and then in a few years' time, I come back because we're coming to the end of civilization as we know it anyway. So I wouldn't be too concerned about needing a new surgery for my head or no. the technology that's around today, it's tarnished. Where they got that technology from? You go back to the Nazi doctors, what they did when they experimented.
Yeah.
There was a woman that I interviewed a few years ago who had come from the concentration camp. Yes. And she said she met some twins in the camp. They were either twins or Siamese twins. I can't remember which one they were. And she says, you know, if you get out of this, warn people about our plight. And because what the Nazis wanted to do is, if they hurt one twin, did the other one feel the pain? So you imagine, it wouldn't be a little stroking of the with feathers. It'd be pain, excruciating pain while they're physically alive. So some of the technology, you know, to do with surgery, to do with the eyes, Nazi technology. Rocket technology is Nazi technology. So what I'm saying is, some of the things we have today that we take for granted, some of the surgery, its origins were based on living experimentation on people. So even if at the end it works, is it pleasing in the eyes of God?
It's tainted, isn't it?
Most don't believe in God, and I understand that. I do. So I'm very careful what I would like to be permitted in my body in this world, regardless if it would diminish my life. You see?
Gents, thanks for your opinions. Real talk here on ZeN TV.